Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyperroll with Artar. Like, comment, subscribe. Come on, you know the drill by now. Get through this while we're choosing out portals, and let me talk a little bit about the build I'm going to show you today. This build is getting slightly nerfed in 13.13. I recorded this before 13.13, so I don't know the impacts from what I've seen on the PBE and norms. It doesn't look like it's going to be that huge, and they're only nerfing a couple of the champions in some ways. We're headed into Hearthhome that is supposed to give us a masterwork upgrade in 7.1. It doesn't always work in Hyperroll. We kind of find out when we get there. Now, this game gave me a Vel'Koz right out of the NPC round, so I was immediately thinking I was doing something with Multicaster or Spellcasting, so Infusion was an easy pick here. Since you are not likely to have the strongest frontline, Multicaster, much like 8 Sorcerers, which I probably have already put up, is a fast attack build. You're going to want to build it so that you get the match done as quickly as possible. Only in the earliest of early rounds do you really see the chance for a long fight to go in your favor. Item-wise, you are thinking AP most of the time, except for whatever tank items you can get onto Swain. But you want as much casting power and casting speed as possible, so if you can get the makings of a blue buff, go for it. If you decide to push in this direction, don't necessarily expect to win early. It's not a fast start build, even though in the end, you're going to win matches very quickly because of the amount of spell damage going out. Teams like Challengers, that you will see a lot of as you play, are going to be all over you early because you don't yet have the power to take them down before they can wipe you out. Now, for this build, I tend to prioritize early damage over tanking Swain. So if I have the opportunity to do stuff like blue buff and Hextech Gunblade on Talliyah, I'm going to take it because she can put out a lot of damage. It's nerfed a little bit in 13.13. Don't know exactly how much yet because everything's in flux, but it should still be worth building into. The ultimate key with Talliyah will be her knockups. Once she's casting 3 times, which is what's going to happen when you get to Multicasters 4, there's going to be a ton of knockups going on, which will allow your other champions to get the kills. It's time for our second set of augments, and ick! Wish we had rerolls. We don't yet. Unburden, no good. Bronze Ticket, every 5 shops, just not enough. Cybernetic Leech will work. I like working Invoker into this build. Karma and Soraka make an excellent combination for that. We don't need to go to 4 in this case since we have Infusion. We're getting extra there, but Soraka will give us some great healing, and Karma does a surprising amount of damage. And even though it doesn't show up yet in our guides, they have Indomitable Will on this team. Whenever you see it blank like that, that's what it is, which means Talliyah's knockups are not going to help after they get a takedown because they're just going to be able to chain invulnerability to CC, and that can often help a team win. Now, ultimately, you want a lot of AP items, but the NPC rounds are not being very friendly. Chance to get a Warmogs on Swain. At this point, I definitely want to go for it since I don't have any other AP items to fall back on. Teemo is the final piece of our puzzle, and at least for right now, we can put him in, so it will create Strategist. That will give a shield to the front line and additional AP to the back line. And you will see even that small shield is going to help a bit as it keeps Swain up just a tiny bit longer. That allows our backline to power up. With Invoker working along with Infusion, we're able to cast more often. We can get rid of everything but their Poppy, but once it's down to just a Poppy, even with the Radiant item, we're able to prevail. Strategist is being buffed a tiny bit in patch 13.13, again, at least now as it shows on the PBE. They're increasing the shield and the AP at 4, which is what we're looking to go to in this build. Final augments, we have no need for an Edge of Night on this team. Social distancing won't work. Gifts from the Fallen remains the only choice. We can now bring in Vel'Koz, so we now have the 4 multicasters. We're just looking for our final 2 pieces of the puzzle, which are the strategists. If you can put a static shiv on someone, it certainly doesn't hurt. For our Ornn masterwork, we decide to go ahead and beef up our soul frontliner as we look for more down the line. We didn't get very many AP items, but Giant Slayer will work. We'll add it over to Talliyah so that she can be the item holder for all and is leading the damage charts. And remember how I mentioned earlier how much the knockups and CC is going to rule this fight? You can see it here. She just doesn't let them set, and that allows us to win. Item choices, again, nothing really awesome. Morellonomicon can work on Swain since it's not going to double up with anything he does, although I would have rather gotten an additional tank item for him. Still, no super AP items here, but I do now have the ability to create 2 Shrouds of Stillness, so I can slow down an opposing team's ability to cast, thereby giving us a chance if things don't go really quick. Our goal is fast cast. We want to take down teams quickly, but if it draws out, as this particular match seems to be doing, slowing the opposing team's start is going to give us a huge advantage, and we can end up taking over. If your shrouds hit just right, you can stop a catastrophe. That Kai'Sa likely could have wiped our team, but she takes a while to get there. We're able to then CC her, take her out, and it ends up bringing us into the top 4, where we can now add in our 4th strategist. Time for our final 2 item choices, and still no real AP items, but Ionic Spark will work great on J4 as that will shred magic resist. Again, no real AP items, but Gargoyle Stoneplate on J4 may allow him to stand in longer, and in doing so, cause more CC on top of the CC we're getting from Talliyah. The only problem with this build is once your front line goes down, your back line is just incredibly squishy. So if they are strong enough to take down your front line, it's going to be very hard for you to recover from that, as this team shows. Now, a lot of this then becomes about positioning, checking in on the opposing team, and seeing where you can do the most damage with your Shrouds of Stillness. In this case, we're set up well as long as they don't move. We want to hit their 2 corners, so we keep Karma, but move Soraka over. They moved their keys over to Soraka's side, and that's what we needed to slow down. This allows us to keep their casting under control, us ultimately to gain control of the fight. And again, once you have control of the fight with this build, the teams just vanish in front of you. And we're back against the same team, and we have to play guess the placement of the Kai'Sa. She is going to be able to take out our team if we don't shroud her. Right now she stays still, but I have a feeling she's going center, bring Karma over, and yeah, guessed right. Now the other key is that they ended up putting her right in the path of where J4 is going to leap and stun everyone. That gives us a huge jump. Even with Senna shielding their entire team, our front line is able to hold up long enough that Talliyah can do what Talliyah does and just keep knocking them up until we win, and it's GG for everyone. This build is semi-forceable, so don't be afraid of it if you see the elements. It's just a late game comp, so make sure everything's in place. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.